Is it your responsibility to make up for the terrible things your family has done? If you do terrible things, what lengths do you have to go to make those terrible things right? Otacon grapples with both of these questions throughout the Metal Gear Solid series. His family has always been caught up in nuclear dealings, tracing back all the way to his grandfather. He struggles with his family's dark history, along with the pages he added to it himself, and does what he can to walk that dark history back. Is it enough, though? Does Otacon do enough to be able to label himself as a good person, or are his misdeeds, along with the misdeeds of his family, too much to overcome? What's up? If you're new here, my name is Luffy and welcome to my channel. I talk video games and character analysis, so if that's your thing, subscribe and stick around. Heads up, this video will have spoilers for Metal Gear Solid 1, Metal Gear Solid 2, and Metal Gear Solid 4, along with light spoilers for Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker and Metal Gear Solid 5. The Emmerich family's dark history. First things first, let's talk about all the things the Emmerich family, including Otacon, have done wrong. The Emmerich family's dark history starts with Otacon's grandpa. We never get a first name for him, so we'll just call him Emmerich. Emmerich was one of the scientists who worked on the Manhattan Project, and his work led to the atomic bombs being dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. The devastation these incidents brought are incalculable, but estimates put casualties anywhere from 110,000 to 210,000. In addition to this, the Manhattan Project introduced nukes as a weapon to the world. Emmerich's work on the Manhattan Project put him in an insurmountable debt to the world, and it's hard to imagine how he would have made up for the atrocities he contributed to, if he even wanted to try and make up for it. Moving on to Otacon's father, Huey Emmerich, Huey continued the family tradition of dealing in nukes. Huey built Metal Gears, nuclear-capable walking battle tanks. Huey first worked for Hot Cold Man, where his Metal Gear Peace Walker, almost brought the whole world to nuclear destruction. Hot Cold Man falsified nuclear trajectory data to fool military intelligence into retaliating against the foe attack. Peace Walker would then respond to this false attack with a nuclear strike of its own if the military didn't have the stomach to. Peace Walker almost caused the start of World War III. Huey's takeaway from the incident wasn't that building Metal Gears was wrong, or that anyone having access to nukes was dangerous. He instead thought that it was important to make sure Metal Gears and nukes were in the right hands. He went on to create another Metal Gear Zeke, for Big Boss. Zeke was also outfitted with a nuke, ironically with the nuke Huey's previous Metal Gear was armed with, and had the potential to do the same damage. Huey continued to not learn and also build Metal Gear Sahelanthropus. If you want a full breakdown on all of the horrible things Huey has done, check out my video on Huey linked in the info card and in the description below. Before we talk about Otacon, there's one other Emmerich we need to cover: Otacon's sister, Emma Emmerich. Emma was a computer engineer specializing in artificial intelligence and complex logic. She created the neural AI GW for Arsenal Gear, a Metal Gear large enough to house a small army. GW was a part of the Patriots system of control and was meant to censor all forms of digital information. GW and the rest of the AIs included in the Patriot system of control were incredibly dangerous, more so than even a Metal Gear. Now, finally, we get to Otacon. Otacon was the lead engineer in Arms Tech and created Stealth Camo that would make its wearer nearly invisible, and Metal Gear Rex, a nuclear-capable walking battle tank. The Emmerich family has a long history of creating weapons that make the world a more dangerous place. Is Otacon responsible for righting every wrong his family has made? And if he is, does his long list of good deeds he goes on to accomplish right the history of wrongs? 2005. One step back, two steps forward. 2005 is the year Otacon discovers his Metal Gear Rex isn't a tool geared towards defense, and is instead intended to be used as a nuclear-capable weapon. He worked on the project thinking Rex was strictly for defense, as the weapons portion of Rex was handled by an entirely different department. The moment Otacon discovers Rex's purpose, he renounces the project and immediately switches sides. Already, Otacon is leagues ahead of his father, Huey. When Huey discovers Metal Gear Peace Walker wasn't going to be used the way he believed it was going to be used, he doesn't stop producing Metal Gears. Instead, he just changes up who he produces Metal Gears for. The problem is the Metal Gear, Huey, not who wields it. Otacon understands that, and this is the first and last time we see him produce a giant Metal Gear. Yes, he produces little Metal Gears, but they operate as support tools for Snavid's missions. They don't shoot nukes or even bullets. Otacon joins Snavid in his mission to take down Rex, even when that means putting his own life in danger. Otacon does things like sneak Snavid ketchup when he's in prison to fool the guard into opening the door. He's supposed to make it look like he's covered in blood, not drink it like I originally thought. He fixes an elevator for him, and even hacks a door to let Snavid out of a room he's trapped in with poison gas. Otacon is such a caring person. He even pleads with Snavid to spare one of his captors, Sniper Wolf, because he believes she's a good person since she's taking such good care of her dogs and even letting him feed them from time to time. That could have been the Stockholm Syndrome talking though. At the end of MGS-1, the Pentagon orders a nuclear strike on Shadow Moses. Knowing this, Otacon volunteers to stay behind so he can hack the security systems and open doors for Snavin and Meryl to make their escape. Luckily, the attack is rescinded before anyone could get hurt, but the fact that Otacon was so willing to sacrifice himself to save others is so touching. When we meet Otacon, we meet someone who readily accepts when they make a mistake and is willing to put the work in to right his mistake. Any evil he did by designing Rex was nullified by the effort he made to destroy it. After MGS-1, Ocelot sells Rex's data on the black market, the little stinker, and when Otacon and Snavin hear about this, they team up and form Philanthropy, an anti-Metal Gear NGO. They track down as many replications of Rex as they can and destroy them. It'll always amaze me that Otacon was like, no, destroying Rex wasn't enough. I have to destroy every version of Rex that pops up because of my own hubris in creating it in the first place. He could have stopped after MGS-1, but he chose not to. 2007. Exposing and destroying Metal Gears. In 2007, Otacon learned that the US Marines had developed Metal Gear Ray. Obviously, this was a problem, so Snavin and Otacon worked to infiltrate the tanker Ray was being transported on so they could take photographic evidence of it. Snavin did the infiltrating, while Otacon was stationed off of the mission site and provided Snavin support through the codec. Otacon's willingness to go after Ray proves that Otacon wasn't willing to stop at just Rex. He feels compelled to stop any Metal Gear as all Metal Gears pose a threat to people. This is a pretty big example of what a good person Otacon is. Unfortunately, their mission is a bust and the tanker Ray was being transported on sinks and Ocelot makes off with the Metal Gear. Snavin and Otacon are blamed for the tanker incident and the pair have to go into hiding or else be arrested and tried for this. Despite this, they continue their work of opposing Metal Gears. 2009. Otacon's family's dark history comes back to haunt him. Otacon and Snavin receive intel about Arsenal Gear, a Metal Gear large enough to house an army and disguised as the Big Shell, an offshore cleanup facility meant to clean up the spilled oil from the sunk tanker in 2007. This time, Otacon infiltrates the Big Shell along with Snavin, posing as the Big Shell's security systems architect. For as much as Otacon's a peep-hand's baby, he's got a lot of courage to physically put himself in the line of danger in order to stop these incredibly dangerous Metal Gears. It shows the kind of courage he has. In MGS-1, he was terrified of getting murked by the ninja or Snavin, but in MGS-2, he boldly puts himself in a position to get murked again because he believes in stopping these Metal Gears. During the Big Shell incident, Otacon was reunited with his sister, Emmerich, who had been involved in developing Arsenal Gear. Unfortunately, their reunion is short-lived as Emma suffers a fatal blow by Vamp. Despite being overwhelmed with grief, Otacon puts himself aside to continue the mission, which is an incredible display of selflessness. He knows there are hostages that need to be rescued, though the Kasatka, a utility helicopter, isn't built to transport many people at a time. Knowing this, Otacon says his sister, her body, won't be able to come with them. To me, this is such a telling sacrifice. I'm sure it was unimaginably difficult for Otacon to decide not to bring his sister's body back with him so that he could bury her properly or however else he wanted to honor her body. I have a little brother, and it'd tear me to pieces to be in Otacon's shoes and have to make the same decision. Otacon is constantly taking care of people over his own self. Otacon's selflessness once again proves what a good person he is. There's really not much at all to say that could point him towards being a bad person. After the Big Shell incident, Snavin and Otacon turn their attentions to stopping the Patriots, then just focusing on destroying and exposing Metal Gears. Emma had designed an incredibly dangerous tool for the Patriots, an AI that aimed to control information in the US to steer the American people in whatever directions the Patriots saw fit. On top of this, Snavin and Otacon also adopted Sunny, a child who'd been kidnapped by the Patriots. Raiden saved Sunny from the Patriots, and then Snavin and Otacon took her in to give her a safe place to grow into her own person. Again, Otacon is so selfless. He had no reason to take Sunny in other than she needed a home. Yes, they briefly knew her mother, Olga, but Olga wasn't exactly a friend or anything. Otacon proves time and time again that he's willing to do the right thing. 2014. Destroying the Patriots. Liquid Ocelot declared war on the Patriots' SOP system. He wanted to free soldiers from SOP so that people would be free to fight one another for what they wanted and create a world where the strong prevail over the weak. Snavin and Otacon, though also wanting to take the Patriots out, agreed to stop Liquid Ocelot. Liquid Ocelot's world would be a dark world of chaos, not one where they'd want their daughter, Sunny, to grow up in. Just like Otacon had been doing for years, he provided support on Snavin's missions via codec. Otacon was compelled to continue to create robots, much like his father Huey was, But unlike Huey, Otacon's robot creations focused on a supporting role rather than making another weapon. The Metal Gear Mark II was a remote mobile terminal designed to conduct reconnaissance, transport weapons and items, and assess Snavid's physical condition. It could also grab things with its prehensile arm, emit an electrical shock to stun enemies, and access computer ports for data transfer. The Mark II was a tool, not a weapon. Throughout MGS4, Snavid is suffering from his aggressive aging and from the Foxdie virus he'd been injected with back in 2005. Otacon stuck by Snavid unwaveringly, proving that he's not only a good person, but a great partner as well. At the end of MGS4, Meryl has her wedding, and Otacon went to her wedding to support her too. Otacon's a great friend. No matter which way you look at Otacon, he's a great person. When he makes a mistake, he owns up to it and does everything he can to make things right. He's a great friend, father, and partner. Did Otacon do enough to make up for the Emmerich family's dark history, though? Is that a burden that should even be placed on his shoulders? In my opinion, I don't think Otacon's responsible for anything anyone else in his family does. He's only responsible for his own actions. Even if we did place that burden on him, though, he's more than made up for what his family has done. He made up for his family, for Zero, and for the damage the Patriots did as well. What do you think, though? Is Otacon a good person? Did he make up for his family's dark history? Do you blame Otacon for what his father and grandfather and sister did? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for making it to the end of today's video. If you liked it, please like, subscribe, and turn notifications on. It really helps me out. If you need more MGS content, check out my Patreon. I upload articles I write on upcoming videos or just thought pieces on MGS in general. Or join us in Discord. We're always talking about MGS. More importantly than that though, please take care of yourself and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Thank you.